In Minnesota in 1982, Charlotte is attending a birthday party at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. She sits in front of the stage waiting for the Marionette show to start and Vanessa brings her a drink, but Charlotte doesn't like it. When Vanessa asks her to join the other kids at the table, Charlotte explains nobody likes her and that Marionette is the only one she can rely on. Vanessa promises that Marionette will still be there later and brings Charlotte to the table right in time for cake. Bored by the party, Charlotte looks around and notices that a boy is being taken away through the back door by a person wearing the Spring Bonnie suit. She runs to ask any adult she can find for help, but none of them listen to her. Then Charlotte runs toward the back door and Vanessa tries to stop her to no avail. Behind the door, Charlotte finds a dark corridor. She follows a noise to a room where she sees the kidnapper washing something and the boy unconscious on the floor. Charlotte carefully sneaks around and picks up the boy to then run as fast as possible. Spring Bonnie hears her and grabs a knife before chasing after her. Seconds later, Charlotte appears on the stage with blurry vision and screams to get everyone's attention. After putting the boy down, she collapses, revealing that she was stabbed during the chase. At that moment, the stage opens and Charlotte falls through the hatch. Then, Marionette emerges with a dead Charlotte on her arms. Afterward, the death appears on the news and the pizzeria is under investigation. However, authorities end up saying it was an accident and blame it on Charlotte for entering a restricted area. The company announces that they're shutting down the business for good. However, a few months later, they come back with new locations. 20 years later, Vanessa wakes up from a nightmare to a call from Mike, who awkwardly asks her to have dinner together. Vanessa says yes, and Mike's sister Abby teases him for his crush, but he swears they're just friends. On her way out, she says hi to Mike's best friend, Jeremiah, who has come to help Mike paint the house. While they work, Jeremiah says that Vanessa may be crazy, which Mike denies. Then they chat about Mike's aunt, who told stories about killing bears in the Fazbear pizzeria. Mike asks Jeremiah to keep his connection to his aunt a secret because he doesn't want Abby to get the wrong kind of attention. In the school bus, Abby is sharing stories with the other kids. She was a victim of the mascots at the local pizzeria. She only survived thanks to police officer Vanessa and Mike, who used to work there as a security guard. Some kids think she's crazy, but others like her and invite her to have lunch with them. A boy asks her if she'll ever go back to the pizzeria, and Abby admits she wants to see her animatronic friends, but they're broken. Mike promised a while ago that he'd fix them, yet he hasn't done it. During science class, Mr. Berg reminds everyone that they must finish their projects by Saturday. Then he starts ranting about an event called Fazefest because it'll be happening on the same night as the science fair. Fazefest is for fans of the pizzeria's animatronics, which Berg finds to be a mockery of robotics. If any of his students don't come to the fair, he'll fail them. Then Berg checks on each project and notices that Abby's is nowhere near done. He only wants impressive robots to keep up the school's reputation, so he scratches her name off the list for the fair. Abby's new friend thinks she's actually talented and could fix the animatronics herself. When Abby goes home, she asks Mike if she can visit the animatronics, but he forbids it and asks her to make friends with real kids. Then Abby watches a TV show called Spectral Scoopers, in which 3 people look for ghosts in old houses. At the restaurant, Vanessa tells Mike that he shouldn't lie about being able to fix the animatronics. In return, Mike shares that he used his own dreams to confront his trauma, and he thinks Vanessa should do the same since she keeps having nightmares. When Mike gets home, Abby is gone. She only left a note saying she went to fix her friends. Moments later, Mike makes it to the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Inside, he finds Abby, who is very sad because the animatronics are gone. Mike apologizes for lying and explains that the animatronics were destroyed, but he thinks that the souls of the children who used to live inside those robots are now in heaven. Then, Abby notices a toy called the Foz Talker because it has glowing eyes and decides to keep it. On their way out, Mike finds dozens of flyers promoting Phase of Fist on the wall. However, there's also one saying that Freddy equals murder with a number to call for details. Sometime later, the team from the Spectral Scoopers arrives at the original pizzeria location where Charlotte was murdered. There, they meet with security guard Michael, who was the one who invited them. He gives them a tour of the place and even introduces them to the original animatronics, although Lisa notices that Foxy is missing. At that moment, Lisa begins hearing some strange music, so she leaves the group behind to investigate. While Michael takes Alex to Kids Cove, Rob sees a bunch of very creepy marionette dolls in the boat ride tunnel. He also finds the lights flickering and tries to inspect them with his device. Suddenly, a bulb explodes and causes him to fall into the water. When he resurfaces, he's startled by a doll. Lisa follows the music into an abandoned tunnel and eventually enters a room with a huge gift box. A hatch on the ceiling makes her realize she's under the stage. The music comes from a little box next to the gift, which Lisa turns off. Suddenly, the gift box opens and Marionette emerges to jump on Lisa. Alex hears Lisa screaming and is creeped out by Michael because he's laughing. When Alex demands an explanation, 2 mechanical arms grab him by the neck and kill him. In the boat tunnel, Rob hears some splashing and turns around to discover that all the dolls are gone. At that moment, a doll falls into the water, and when Rob looks down, he sees dozens of them. They quickly surround him and pull him down to drown him. Meanwhile, Michael checks the room under the stage and finds Lisa's body squirming on the floor. When she looks up, her eyes are glowing and her face has Marionette's makeup. She immediately starts chasing after him, so Michael runs out of the building while hearing her scream in frustration. He smiles as he says, "Welcome back, Charlotte." The next day at the gym, Vanessa tries to concentrate on her exercises, but she keeps seeing visions of Spring Bonnie. He takes off his mask and Vanessa sees her father, William, who was the person behind all the child murders. As William keeps repeating faster, Vanessa closes her eyes and concentrates until he disappears. However, when she blinks, William reappears in front of her, so she runs to the lockers and tries to calm down. Suddenly, Bonnie's hand grabs her and she pulls out her gun, only to find another client checking on her. Feeling guilty, Vanessa leaves the gym. At home, Vanessa decides to try to overcome her fears in her dreams. She takes a bunch of objects from her childhood out of an old box before closing all the windows and turning on white noise on a TV. When she finally falls asleep, she searches her dream house until she finds William to tell him that she isn't afraid of him. Suddenly, all doors in the corridor open and William comes chasing after her. Vanessa runs to the front door, but it's locked. William says he isn't done with her while grabbing a knife, so Vanessa runs again. Her body transforms into her younger self before she enters the workshop where the animatronics were made. She hides behind some clothes and when she turns around, she finds a creepy doll with glowing eyes. When Vanessa moves away from her, William finds her and says she'll always be his. Then Vanessa runs again and her body regains her adult form. Her police uniform also appears, so she gets her gun and shoots William, causing him to fall over the railing. Yet, he keeps saying she's his and laughing before Vanessa wakes up. Meanwhile, Mike finds Abby trying to talk to the animatronics using the fast talker and doesn't know what to do to comfort her. That night, Abby is trying to sleep when suddenly she hears a voice. It's the fast talker asking for her help. Abby immediately leaves on her bicycle and makes it to the original Freddy location. When she goes inside, she's happy to see Chica, who receives her warmly and hugs her. The next day, Vanessa comes to see Mike, but she can't find him. She follows a noise to Abby's room and finds the fast talker talking nonsense. Suddenly, Vanessa is scared by someone touching her, but it's just Abby. The girl shows her the science project, which looks like a mini Chica. Abby tells her that the animatronics helped her build it and describes the original location, which leaves Vanessa disturbed. At that moment, Mike arrives with their breakfast, and Vanessa asks him to talk in private. She tries to tell her that Abby went somewhere, but Mike thinks Abby was just talking about the fast talker interactions. He shows Vanessa the creepy flyer and explains that he called the number, which belongs to Charlotte's father. Mike heard the murder story and tells Vanessa that he's tired of being surrounded by people who won't move on. An argument ensues and Vanessa walks away. When Mike says he's been trying to fix her on Saturday, Vanessa returns to the original restaurant and finds Chica, but she doesn't move. Then she goes to the room under the stage and finds the big box empty. Charlotte is moving around in Lisa's body, and Vanessa tries to make her see reason, but Charlotte only wants her to remove the perimeter lock that doesn't let any of the animatronics leave the building. When Vanessa turns around, Charlotte attacks her. At the science fair, Abby wants to display her doll, but Berg hates it and tries to send her home. Abby refuses and points at an empty table. So Berg pretends to change his mind and grabs the mini Chica to display it. Then he drops it on the floor to break it and acts as if it was an accident. Berg says he'll give her full credit for the class so she can go home while he cleans up the trash and Abby runs away in tears. Soon, Abby makes it to the restaurant and hugs Chica to seek comfort. When Chica hears what happened, she volunteers to be Abby's science project, but first she needs her help with something. At the same time, Charlotte is keeping Vanessa captive and making her watch everything on camera. It turns out this isn't the real Chica. Charlotte is controlling her wirelessly. She threatens to kill Abby if she doesn't get the password, so Vanessa gives it to her. Chica repeats the code and Abby writes on the computer. This removes all the restrictions from the animatronics. So now Chica, Freddy, and Bonnie can finally leave. Abby calls a cab and the driver is startled by Chica, who pretends to be a person in costume. Meanwhile, Mike visits Charlotte's father, Henry, who shares that Mike is the only person who called the number with honest questions. All the other calls were pranks. Mike shares that his little brother was killed by William in the pizzeria. And Henry is sure that William killed Charlotte, too. So, he thinks that Face Fist is an insult to the memories of the dead children. While looking at Henry's collection of pictures and newspaper articles, he notices that the pizzeria has a river ride. He never saw it when he worked there. So, Henry explains that only the original location had that attraction. Mike remembers seeing this ride in Abby's drawings and gets worried. So, he calls the school only to learn that his sister isn't there. He wants to go out to find her. And before he leaves, Henry gives him a music box, which helps Charlotte sleep when she was younger. In the evening, Mike finally makes it to the original restaurant, but can't open the front door. There's an open window at the back, so he climbs through it to get inside. When he turns on a flashlight, he's startled by the prototype animatronics. Then, he leaves the room, not noticing Lisa's body nearby. Eventually, he finds Kids Cove and follows a strange noise to the lockers. When he opens them, a tied-up Vanessa falls out. He quickly releases her and she tells him everything that happened. So they need to reach the office to reactivate the lock. Their only option is crossing the river tunnel. And while they do, Vanessa shares that the only ghost in this location is Charlotte. After she was killed, Vanessa kept seeing her around in the restaurant. She was full of rage and only a music box kept her asleep. At that moment, they hear something in the water, so they try to hurry, but Mike ends up falling. Then Balloon Boy appears in the river and starts following Mike. So Vanessa helps him get out of the water and together they run to finally reach the office. Vanessa checks the computer to try to track the animatronics while explaining that Charlotte wants revenge against the adults who ignored her. Mike tells Vanessa to go to town and keep the animatronics distracted while he tries to disconnect the signal. At the science fair, Abby introduces Chica to Berg, who thinks this is just a person in disguise and kicks them out. Afterwards, Berg is walking down a corridor, but freezes when he sees Chica in another classroom. He tries to take a closer look, but sees nothing behind the door. Suddenly, Chica reappears and grabs him by the neck to pull him through the shattering glass. A terrified Berg tries to run away, but he trips on a cart and ends up hiding under a table. Chica easily pulls him out before grabbing him by the head, which she squeezes to kill him. At Face Fist, Freddy walks around without scaring anyone because people think he's a really cool costume. At the same time, Abby wins the fair thanks to Chica. At that moment, Mike starts messing with the software and Chica detects a breach in the system, so she activates all the prototypes. Mike manages to track Freddy and calls Vanessa to give her the address. He keeps hearing noises getting closer. And since the office has no door, he flashes his flashlight to make sure he's alone. In the neighborhood, Freddy waits until a man is gone from his garage to stop the door from closing while Bonnie appears at a girl's window. On the road, Vanessa tries calling Mike, but there's no signal. Suddenly, she hears something on the roof of her car and is startled by Foxy. Vanessa starts driving like crazy to try to throw him off, only for Foxy to break the window. She's so distracted by this that she almost doesn't see another car coming and has to make a sudden turn to avoid it. Her vehicle ends up sliding down the hill and she hits her head before it finally stops. Then Foxy breaks another window and starts pulling at the seat belt. So, Vanessa takes it off and moves to the other seat. After peeking inside, Foxy pounds on the roof and breaks the opposite window to try to pull Vanessa out. After some struggle, she manages to push the arm off and gets back on the wheel to drive away. At the same time, Freddy has entered the house and startles a middle-aged couple who throw food at him. Freddy mentions that they didn't listen to Charlotte and left her to die. On the street, Vanessa keeps on driving with Foxy on the hood, only to slam the brakes right outside the couple's house. The sudden stop sends Foxy flying through the window and he crashes into Freddy, knocking them both out. Vanessa immediately tells the couple to run away. Meanwhile, the little girl lets Bonnie enter her room. After they chat, Bonnie goes downstairs to find the mother. He grabs a knife and tries to stab her, but the woman dodges the attack. When Bonnie is about to try again, the girl cuts in to protect her mom. At the pizzeria, Mike is startled by prototype Freddy appearing in front of him. He quickly puts on a bear mask and now Freddy's scanner thinks he's an animatronic so he doesn't attack. After Freddy leaves, Balloon Boy appears and a screeching noise plays in the speakers. A frustrated Mike quickly rips off his head and throws it out of the office. Now the boy's bright eyes illuminate the corridor, revealing prototype Freddy and Chica coming closer. The vent lid is suddenly pushed off and prototype Bonnie appears as well. Mike rushes to close the vent before returning to the computer to keep looking for the shutdown options. When the lights go out, Chica appears next to him, so he puts on the mask again. She interrupts her attack and walks away, only to be replaced by Foxy. His scanner isn't working well, so the mask doesn't work on him. A desperate Mike concentrates on the computer, and when Foxy is about to strike, he finally manages to turn off the signal that Charlotte is using to control the animatronics. All the robots immediately lose power, and the mother with the girl manage to escape from Bonnie. Mike calls Vanessa to give her the good news, but he's horrified to see a signal appearing at his house. Chica is currently putting Abby to bed. When the shutdown happens, her body starts shaking and cracking until it breaks. Marionette jumps out and jumps on Abby. This allows her to reactivate the signal, so the animatronics are waking up. Vanessa sees this and warns Mike, who has already left the building, and has an idea. At that abandoned pizzeria, Mike tries to communicate with the souls of the dead kids who used to live in the animatronics, begging them to help Abby. Meanwhile, Vanessa's car breaks down, but luckily, Jeremiah finds her and takes her to Mike's house. Inside, she follows the sounds of the fast talker to Abby's room and is terrified to discover that the girl has been possessed by Charlotte. Vanessa rushes to hide in another room and waits until Abby checks the opposite side to run past her. Abby makes her trip and grabs her head, but at that moment, Mike appears with Henry's music box. Charlotte screams in frustration as she quickly releases Abby. Afterward, Vanessa and the siblings try to leave, but the animatronics return to block every door and every window. Suddenly, Michael appears behind them and reveals he's Vanessa's brother. He wants to continue his father's legacy and admits he organized Face Fist so the animatronics could blend in with the crowd. Michael asks Vanessa to join him, but she refuses. So, he orders the animatronics to kill the trio. When Bonnie is about to move, someone pulls him through the window. It's the Foxy from the abandoned location who smashes Bonnie's head with his foot. It turns out the kid souls heard Mike's pleas and re-enter the robots to help Abby. Freddy breaks his counterpart's body in two, and Bonnie decapitates Mangle Foxy. Chica finishes the fight by ripping off her counterpart's head as well. Michael tries to run away, only for Jeremiah to knock him out with a single hit. Afterward, the systems of the good animatronics start failing and they collapse. One of the ghosts appears in the room and assures Abby that their souls are moving on to the afterlife. He also warns Mike that once he's gone, he won't be able to hold him anymore. Mike asks who he is talking about, but the ghost disappears without an answer. Mike then leaves with Abby and Jeremiah, but he tells Vanessa to stay away because he can't trust her anymore. While she watches the group leave, Marionette jumps on her to possess her. Sometime later, 3 teenagers break into the abandoned restaurant to look for props. In the basement, they're shocked to find Spring Bonnie, whose eyes start glowing. Make sure to subscribe our channel Cinema-Fathom and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.